Hello, and welcome to the on-demand training module for National Geographic Learning's U.S. History, American Stories. On Your Feet is an element of the program that you will see interspersed throughout the lessons. These activities use various cooperative learning routines and other get up and move activities to keep students engaged. For these activities, you will use a cooperative learning routine, which you will see on the next slide, and the graphic can also be found in the front matter of your teacher's edition. Here's a screenshot from the front matter of your teacher's edition showing the different cooperative learning strategies that will be used in the On Your Feet activities found throughout the program. By the end of this on-demand training, you will be able to explain the key points from the U.S. History Consultant essays, which are found in the front matter of the teacher's edition. You'll be able to identify the purpose of each program component. And finally, you will have built an understanding of the instructional design of U.S. history. The overall objective of this session is to increase your knowledge of U.S. history so that you feel equipped to go into the classroom tomorrow and implement a lesson. These are our 3 senior program consultants that work to ensure the accuracy of the program information, the grade level appropriateness, and most importantly, to ensure your students will be learning U.S. history using active learning best practices from an integrated perspective. More information about our consultants can be found in the front matter of your teacher's edition. I strongly suggest reading the information about the consultants to better understand what they bring to the U.S. history program. I'd like to start by introducing Frederick Hebert. He is National Geographic's archaeologist in residence, and he works with the Curating History feature, which we'll talk a little bit more about later in the presentation. Peggy Althoff addresses the importance of active learning in the history classroom. Fritz Fisher focuses on historical thinking and provides ways to support that historical thinking in the lessons you will deliver to your students. These are the additional program consultants who have added their expertise to the program. For instance, Catherine Keene, the VP for National Geographic's exhibitions, talks to us about planning a museum visit, and Ken Garrett shares his expertise about photography, which is so important in documenting history. These consultants and the other consultants provide their expertise, which is evident throughout the text. These National Geographic explorers, photographer, and digital nomad add their experiences to make U.S. history a well-rounded program with real-world connections to help students to be engaged and motivated to learn. The presence of the explorers throughout the text helps students put meaning to the past by making connections to the historical research and exploration happening today. Robert Reed is a National Geographic digital nomad and travel writer. Robert shares his thoughts on history and helps to make it come alive. Fred Hebert tells us why studying history is so important. Students have the opportunity to address this important question in their history notebook as they begin their journey into U.S. history. The student program components include the student book, which is available in both print and digital, and in Spanish and English editions. A Vital Source ebook is available for purchase, which allows the text to be downloaded, which can be read digitally with no internet connection. The History Notebook is available in print and digital, and the Teacher's Edition will prompt you when to incorporate the activities in the History Notebook. The Teacher's Edition is also available in print and digital. In the digital version, teachers have access to everything that they see in print, but they also have all of the student components, chapter planners, background and instructional material, lesson plans, and also assessments. There are 3 key program attributes that really set U.S. history apart from the other geography programs that are out there. These attributes include exploring what it really means to be an American, telling the rich American story, and finally, helping students really understand the role of the United States in the world. As the teacher, you have access to a correlation between U.S. history and the C3 framework, standing for college, career, and civic life. Students are also introduced to the National Geography Standards so that they can develop their higher order thinking skills throughout the program. The activities and tests in American Stories offers a generous variety of opportunities for both formative and summative assessments in numerous modes. Each lesson in the student edition ends with historical thinking questions that assess students' understanding of the lesson content and their ability to analyze it. You can use this quick formative assessment to help students develop their critical thinking skills and to determine whether any concepts need to be reinforced or retaught. Guided discussion questions, like those seen in the slide, provide additional material for classroom interaction. These questions can be discussed as a whole class, used for small group work, or assigned as homework. At the end of each unit, a summative assessment evaluates students' grasp of the main idea and overarching themes of the unit. At the end of the unit, a unit inquiry and 2 National Geographic Learning Framework activities can be used as summative performance assessments. Let's dive into a unit and see what great features your students will encounter. We will use Unit 3 as a demo unit, but every unit will have a similar format. The unit opens with a photographic spread, and the Teacher's Edition will walk you through introducing the photograph. There is a history notebook activity that will accompany this feature. You can check students' understanding with the critical viewing assessment. The second part of the unit opener includes the timeline. This is a 2-part timeline showing events in the United States on the top part and the events of the world on the bottom. The Teacher's Edition walks you through instruction of the timeline, and student understanding can be checked with a historical thinking question. A suggested answer for that question is provided in the Teacher's Edition. Following the timeline, you'll find the chapter planner. This provides the teacher resources, assessment, and digital resources that will be used throughout the chapter. Any special features are shown, and the resources for each chapter section are shown in detail. Teacher resources include reading and note-taking, vocabulary practice, skills lessons, and formal assessments. Students' digital resources include the e-edition, handbooks, an online atlas, the history notebook, and projects for inquiry-based learning. Differentiation strategies are provided for each lesson. Differentiation is provided for students that need additional support and for those that need more of a challenge academically. The differentiation summary page gives suggestions for which lessons the strategies should be used with. Each unit contains between 2 to 4 chapters. Unit 3 starts with Chapter 5. The chapter opener begins with the analysis of another historical photograph. The student pages include the essential question, a summary of key vocabulary in each chapter section, and a reading strategy activity to help students as they begin reading the text in the chapter. The teacher's instruction includes introducing the photograph, the essential question, the vocabulary and reading strategies, and you'll also find key dates included. The chapter begins with an American story. In some chapters, this will only be found online. The teacher instructional path includes planning, which gives the objectives, critical thinking skills that will be used, and background for the teacher. Introduce and engage, build background, teach, write about history, and historical thinking instructions lead teachers through the entire lesson with students. After the American Stories feature, the chapter sections begin. Each lesson is in a 2-page spread format. A similar instructional path is followed. You have detailed instructions to introduce and engage, build background, teach, differentiate, and assess each lesson. Additional special types of lessons include American Voices. These lessons provide historical insight through the eyes of key historical figures. These activities will include an active options on your feet activity that will incorporate those cooperative learning strategies we talked about at the beginning of the presentation. A STEM, or science, technology, engineering, and mathematics activity demonstrates integrated learning and the NGL framework, attitudes, knowledge, and/or skills. The history notebook will be incorporated into lessons like these, and the teacher's edition provides complete instruction. Historical perspectives are formed not only by the people in history, but in conjunction with the artifacts that were used during the time period. Our senior consultant, Frederick Hebert, National Geographic's archaeologist in residence, knows the importance of including the artifacts when describing historical periods. The Curating History feature will introduce students to important items from historical time periods and the significance of those items. American Places is another special feature lesson that focuses on the important places of history. In Chapter 5, the importance of Northbridge cannot be overstated. This was a key location during the Revolutionary War, where the British and colonial militia engaged in open combat. This truly is an integrated text. You will see geography and history, STEM connections, literacy connections, and this feature, geology and history. This type of lesson demonstrates how the lay of the land, or the geology, help to determine battlefield strategy. As we look at Chapter 5, Lesson 4.5, think of how important it is for your students to encounter document-based questions. Document-based questions are based on actual historical maps and/or documents. They focus on critical thinking skills and ask students to make comparisons, make interpretations, apply knowledge to given data, and look at issues from multiple perspectives. These document-based questions will help set the foundation for critical thinking success in your students' future. At the end of the chapter, there is a chapter review. Each chapter review provides the opportunities for students to think back over the content presented to them, from vocabulary and main ideas identified to support each section, to the varied subtopics covered within each chapter. There is a Connect to Your Life review section that connects the historical content to your students' everyday lives. After completing the chapters in each unit, the unit wrap-up is where the teachers and students can revisit the unit as a whole, and it includes an adapted National Geographic article. You can see an example of that here with Patriots in Petticoats. And finally, a unit inquiry project, which addresses the National Geographic framework. Rubrics are provided for the summative project-based assessments. Let's finish up by looking at some of the additional features. The text contains 3 National Geographic special features. These include the story of a continent, found at the beginning of the book, confederacies and nations, found after Chapter 7, and through the lens Civil War photography, which is found at the end of the book in Chapter 15. The student reference section following Unit 6 includes a citizenship handbook that contains the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, Bill of Rights, and a Citizenship and You article. Finally, there is a comprehensive glossary in English and in Spanish at the end of the book. Everything we have covered appears in print, but also in digital. The online site is very user-friendly. Print and digital versions of both the Teacher's Edition and the Student Edition are identical. The page of the book will appear in the main screen with unit and chapter navigation easily found on the left of the screen. Resources that are needed for each lesson can easily be found in the drop-down resources menu that is found on the upper right-hand side of the page. You can see here I've dropped down the resources for Unit 3, and they can be seen here on the right. I hope you've enjoyed this on-demand training for U.S. history and that it will help you as you move forward in your classroom instruction. Thank you.